So guys, our scene is ready. We just place these objects. And from this part we will go to the lighting and materialization. Of course, in this part we want to place our camera and frame it. Well, one part that was left over from the previous part, guys, was this office. This office, which you have to place it in the middle of this living room. It doesn't matter, we'll go and set it up here and we'll set it up. Well, now we want to go and put it inside, and I want to have a happy scene from this scene. You'll throw a dolly in the background until... Well, come on, and this camera. We also explained to you in the preliminary meetings of Corona that we can put two types of cameras in Corona. One is that when we are in space, Saran. Let's hit this officer. For example, I'm in this space and I want to get a render from this exact scene. I can. This camera that is from view, I'll shoot this from the same view I'm on. It'll leave my camera on me, but it's better that we don't use this method because we won't get the desired result. So I'll go into the swing view. I'll shoot the officer again, and select the double view. Here's a tip I have to tell you. Look, I want to have this angle. He's sleeping when he comes down the stairs, and this time I have my seat. I'll put the camera here. I'll leave the scene. And I'll also shoot the target. I'll take it out of the scene. It's always better, baby, to have your target out of the scene. That way you get a better result. So I'll shoot the garlic. We went into the double view. Well, now maybe if it's like this, it can show, because in us, I shot the officer and we're in this view now. If I shoot Alto Darty. Look, this is our camera, so I can adjust it, bring it up. I want to get a Randall from this scene, so I'm the officer now. Well, look, I shot the officer here. This is actually a video of a camera we put in. See, we only see one wall. Why? Because we put our camera behind the wall. In a scene like this, when we have to put our camera behind the wall so that we can get a good video of it, what do? We select the camera. Well, the camera is selected right now. Let's go to the Dolby settings in this cut, and let's go to the environment and clipping section. Here I check the enable checkbox. I activate it. Here it says, give me something. Give me a lot of panning. It will give you a good view. Up and down, which is our camera angle. We give this number here. We give this number to this section, for example, what angle our camera should show us. In fact, it cuts everything it sees. The camera captures it. Look down, and I multiply the number, and that's enough for now. Well, guys, this is one of these. There's another point here. Well, I don't want my scene to be horizontal right now. I want to have a vertical scene. For this, I'll go to the render setup settings. These are the render setup settings. Here, the rendering is in Corona mode. And we'll come to the output size section. You probably don't know which option it is, but we'll put it on the cast in and in the image aspect, as much as I explained to you, as long as our number is less than 1. This frame will become vertical. If our number is greater than 1, our frame will become horizontal. Now our frame is almost horizontal. Why? Because our number here is 2. Now I'll put the number 1. Let's see if our frame is completely square. So I want to put it on my 8 and get to my frame. This is the frame that I want. So now a little bit. It will make the double-sided layer. So I'll leave this angle where we have the baby open. I wanted to go back to it and get a render from it. Another part of the camera settings. That means when you place your duplicate, be sure to come to this tilt and shift in here, tick auto vertical and make sure the angles we have here are correct. This was another one of the settings. Another one is that we can zoom in this section. Focal, see if we zoom in or out. So the number I had planned for it is 49.5. And at this angle that I wanted to get a render from, so guys, we put this again in this section or the next sections of the rest. We put the turbine from the scenes that you want to capture and we first process this entire scene. We process and edit the materials that need editing and then we create the materials ourselves and then we go to rendering and render settings. So guys, in that part we want to do the lighting of our scene so that we can do one part and the rest in the next parts. Before starting the lighting, we'll give our entire scene. The guys are using the same material right now, a raw material, so that we can finish our lighting first and then move on to creating the material, dear Anders. Well, we have to have the camera guys that we had a meeting with here and in this episode. We will choose our camera number, which was number 1. And we will forgive you for this. You forgive for this. No matter what you do, the decisions will not change when you are interactive under the rendering. And it is continuously rendering from this scene. Well, so that we can give the whole scene the same confidence, let's get to this point. And here we put MTL override, and from this section we call this page opens for us, and here we will compare the Corona log from Emil to it. That's it. Well, now we've attributed this to the entire scene. Now let's take a render. Let's take an interactive demonstration to see how these events unfold. Well, after we got the interactive rendering, we see that we don't have any light in the scene and our rendering is black. We have a series of lights on stage, so we don't have external lighting. But here in this waterfall we have lights, but because we gave all of them a material, these glass materials, we attributed them to the raw data so they don't pass through themselves. So first of all, what do? We go back to the settings, and this is the brain that we had given the Corona log file a link and had enabled the override feature. At this time, I will check the material here so that it is not. As long as it's out there, it means they have their own material. They don't have that raw material. Let's see here, and this is my scene. It became clear at first because I actually excluded the glass material. Look at these heads, it became clear at first. All heads have the same material. Now because I want to have this day in this Norfordoozy sign, and that. I want to have the light of the sky and the sunlight from outside. We have to exclude the curtain material. What does excluding mean? Let's remove this raw material that we assign to the entire head, the material that has its own, so we'll go to the next step now. Well guys, we all choose the same platform, and we can also select it one by one so that everyone selects it together. You maintain control, and that's what you can do if you're here. We have layers in our conversation, and from the layers we can easily select everything. See where its name is. We'll take the curtains here, select everything together. If you don't have this layer, it will come in the Tools section and here. When you close the Layer Explorer, this will open for you. Now you may have this or that. I'm choosing from these curtains now. Well, all my screens are now in my selection. I'll go back to the rendering set, and we'll go back to where we are. In this light here, even though we had removed the light and glass will be here Object Exclude once we click on this check mark. These curtains are now excluded, and if we want to render them, the curtains will already have their own materials. Well look, I took an interactive render. Look, the curtain material is back. Now my child, I set the prestige very low so that we could get the renders faster, so that's why the screen material didn't look good. And in the next step, we want to turn off the interior lights that we have because we want to turn on the light using the ambient light of the third pillar. We go back to the render setup section, and again in this same tab, guys, we have the light mix setup here. We have this up here, we put this. And here, if you click on this option once, light mix will be activated for you. What is light mix? Special features: we can use light mix while we are rendering, turn on or off a series of lights while rendering, or reduce or increase their intensity. Well, we have the Likens active now, so you see, here we have the Likens server activated for us. These are the lights that we have in the scene, and they are clear with its color and intensity. Now I want to turn off all these lights, and I will keep only the first light of the environment light, which is the light of your hair on. We will forget about all of this one by one. Let's start with the relationship of this novel. Remove the environment light from the beginning, and then turn it on again if needed. Well, we don't have any lights in the scene right now. In this scene, we want to use the Corona sky and sun lighting technique. This is one of the lighting techniques, and we will use different techniques in the next scenes, such as background technique and other techniques. First, we will learn the technique. It is Corona sky. I will close this. We will go back to the render setup. So, again, in this same tab, we will go to the Environment Sense Environment tab and open this. Let's see here, guys, in advance. The dynamic light is on the Tardy Max, and what we are doing is we will click on the single max, and here we will give it. We will give it Corona Sky. We will find Corona and Corona Sky from here. We gave it the Paransky layer, and now I will go open the Panjar material. And I'll look at it every little bit, and because I take this sky crown map and drag it to my material page, I'll copy it to the instance mode because I want any changes I make to it to be applied here too. So guys, let's go to the settings here. The settings discussion will open for us. One of the first parameters we have is the sky mode, which is the different modes of the sky that we have here. We work together in different scenes. In the next workshops, we'll use this mode for this scene. Okay, let's go and take a scene from it in this mode. Well, the scene that we're taking is also completely dark, but this sky that we gave it becomes a light with an almost blue theme. Now we'll make some changes to this light to get to the light we want. With these settings, we're going down to the parameters section. See, these are two colors that are mixed together and create this light for us. We'll give these two colors here. Any color, for example, if we give pink and mix them together, the light that shines on the scenes will be in that color tone. Look, there's a test for our scene. So I have the light that I'm thinking of for this scene, the first Roman. Let's do something. Well, I'm thinking of a similar transition for the first part, and for the second part, I'll copy the same color down here. So you guys have to try this in the scene and enter it into your scene to see if you get the light you want. Now I'm going to go from the top of the canvas to the bottom, and then darken it a little bit. Okay, well, now the surface that came into our scene has a slightly white color. I'm telling you guys, these are completely. It comes down to taste and experience. And depending on the scene we're working on, we can use different colors here. For example, if we wanted to have a very early morning, or for example, a sunset. Their colors are different, or you have to look very closely at your surroundings to be able to have a good idea of lighting. We see in this section that the sun collection is in automatic mode. We haven't touched our sun yet. I'll close this page and go and touch our sun. Well, I'm going to put this section on Corona and Corona San. I'll go to the tar view. I'm closing this, and I want my light to fall from this side. I click, and I throw the light into the scene. This is my scratch. So, I'm going to go into perspective mode, and instead of adjusting the crease, I'm now adjusting the crease from very low to high. Well, I'll take a test render of it to see how it turns out. Okay, this interactive render I took, we're going to use this scene now. With the light of Imam Jataman, we turned on the light of the sky and the light of the sun. We see, children, that some shadows have been created here. Because of the scratched light, we didn't have a stage like this before we put scratched in. Now here we have scratched light settings. Here the power of the light means that the more we take this, the more the amount of light radiation increases. And here we have the size part, and here the size is whatever. The more the better, the bigger the number. The shadows we have are softer shadows and have softer edges. For example, now I'll put this size on the number 5. And I'm going to render again. You can see that these shadows are actually getting softer. The edges of these shadows are getting softer. So this. From the first light we put here, our first lighting, the lighting of this scene is not yet complete, and you guys can use the lighting composition whenever you want. Use ambient light. Lighting your altar requires a lot of trial and error to achieve the desired result. So let's continue our discussion. Guys, we put the sunlight and the skylight in the previous session. When you put the sunlight and add any new light to your scene, in order for it to appear in this list of light mix lights, you must come to the render set when you put a new light. And here in the light mix section, be sure to hit generate so that your light is added. For example, I hit generate, and you can see that Corona Sun is also added here. If you don't do this, that light goes into the rest light subsets that we have here, and we can't control each of your lights. Well guys, I just came here and selected render. I'm going to go into its settings, and guys, in this section, its color is always set to realistic by default, and in fact, you can see in the render that a light with a yellow theme gives us an almost yellow and round look. But in this scene, I used light with. I want a light that is a bit white, so in this scene I am using this direct input. See how it changes our render. Well, you see, our render took on a white theme. When we were in realistic mode, our sunrise light had a color theme. It had a warm color. Well, it is true that we can control and adjust the lights separately for each of the lights, but my suggestion to you is to always try to use the lights from this light mix section in our render page. And adjust the lights from here. See here, for example, you can see the intensity of the sunlight. How much I put it, you can change this in work. For example, I am now putting the Corona light on half. See how much light it has become. I put it on 2, for example. Well, the light has become less. In this way you have to control your lights. For example, I will put the munition light on 1 and 2 if you want the whole scene to be lit, the whole scene. Let's go into this skin and tone vaping section. Here, guys, with exposure we can see how much of my overall ambient light is being overexposed. See the ambient light, the light of the whole light. It means it increases or decreases the light in a single hand like this. Well, first of all, Let's work on this tone and ping. Here we have a series of options. There is also Gennady in Photoshop. You can also use Photoshop for these. And the settings that are related to the stage light. We can use them here. As we said, the exposure is the general light of the stage, and we can achieve the light we want with this light. Or we don't work too much with this balance. Let's see, when we lower the number to 6001, it gives it a blue tint. When we raise it up, it goes towards the warm color tint. Well, we don't work too much on this part. Let's see again, how much we raise it up, it goes towards the green color, and how much we lower it goes towards the purple color. Well, contrast is also a part that controls the shadows and highlights of the work. The higher we go, the darker the dark parts become, and the brighter the bright parts become. Let's try it now. You can see that the contrast is increasing, and now it's perfect. When it's set to 0, we have almost no contrast. If you want to lose your own darkness, I'll put it on the number that is set to the default value. The saturation section doesn't work very well in this work, but it's for the color saturation. The saturation reduces or increases the colors that we have in our scene, and this section of the base out should always be set to the default value. Be clear, because this itself adds contrast to our scene. Let's see, when I uncheck it, our scene has no contrast. There are also a series of options that we can add ourselves. Of course, I added them, but I'll teach you how to add both of these. Let's see, guys. This is Filmmaker and Highlight. Highlight and Elliot, I added these to this section myself. Now, how do you add these? You click on this symbol, and these are in the subcategory. These are the ones I mentioned. When you select, they will be added to your menu. Guys, I reset to show you how to add those options again from the beginning. We'll click on this sign. And the things that you want, for example, like the curve was added, and the polymer of the ellipse, and also the highlight. So let's give you an explanation about the ellipse. I'll turn on the ticker and click this to turn it on. Guys, here it has given a series of themes that you can try on your scene. See which one suits your scene. You can see this theme, for example, green. Now this one is a little warmer. I'll leave you a file. You can click this color. Let's go into the desired file. This is the Newt file. I'm going to fix it. See, our scene has a contrast. I'm going to set this white plane to 6000 so that the color is a little brighter. And I'm going to increase the exposure a little. So, my child, this Elliot that we added to our scene has an option here called opacity that lets you measure its impact, and I'm going to set this number to 8s. Now let's go and work with this color. This color is also in such a way that you can take this point, and you can see that if you look at the grid, you can increase or decrease the contrast of the work. Well, the next big thing here is the highlight. You can see the parts that have received a lot of light, and for example, this part of our screen is almost hard. It has a hardness mode that reduces this hardness level. Now, because my render is not very high quality and I can't, for example, I can set the number to 1 and 3. You can work with these numbers and see the effect on your render. Well, I've almost got my overall light, and now I want to go to the light mix section and reduce the sun's light a little bit. Let's see if I can touch the banana. So guys, look at this whole light that we're getting from the environment. We haven't put our ambient lights yet. We'll put the next parts of our ambient lights, we'll put the materials. Then we'll do the rest of the lighting again. The lighting routine is such that you can't do the lighting once and say, yes, my lighting is done. First, we do a general state of the future light, and this future light is edited over and over again until we get the light we want in the scene. So guys, I took this interactive render, and through Light Mix, we want to turn on the rest of the lights to see that the space that is created is approximate. Just in this Spruce section, and in the McPin section, we will go to this number. Like me, of course, you can try it yourself and increase and decrease the numbers, and achieve the result you want. Let's go to the Light Mix section. Guys, I changed the color of the corona a little. I warmed up the light a little and got this light. We see here in this section we have the color code. If you also take a look, we will get to the color that I gave to the space. In this section I will do this. The intensity is also. This number is good. Now let's go one by one. The rest of this light, I have already adjusted it once. Now I will tell you again. Well, look at this light that belongs to this pendant. The intensity is 1. I will not change the intensity. Let's see what changes. Let's sleep. This light became less. And here guys, I use this color. The same. The color that I had in Corona Stan. Look, I copied it like this. I understood it like this. You understand? It gives you the same color. Then I colored it a little. This is the color code. This color that we see here. So let's go and add the rest of the lights. Let's leave it the same. This light, this one section, let's see what changes. The lights, how much brighter the space became. Okay, let's see what changes. How much brighter the space became. Let's turn on this pendant. I'll put some color on these. You can see the color of the fertilizer. I considered this color warm. I gave the whole space a white light, and this artificial light was almost. Their colors are warm. These are the color codes in the original file that I'm giving you. All of these are there. But you can also increase and decrease the intensity of these colors and give them the color you want. Now I'm going to turn them on one by one, because these are the lights that have their own ears and are shining for this purpose. Well, now I've turned on the responsible light here, and our scene turned out like this with this number that I already have for them. Look how many times I tried this. And I arrived at these numbers so that I can have a similar type in the scene. You can use these numbers in this color scheme or the color scheme that suits your own opinion. I'm telling you guys, these colors are the color scheme in the original base. You can come and take the color swatch from here and use it in your own money.